The big story is a dramatic rescue at a concrete company's mixing site. A worker got trapped in a hopper of crushed limestone, and hours of rescue work pays off when he's dug out and carried to safety. Making news now this Friday. Police investigating the murder of a fast food manager are following up new information from a series of recent crimes. And believe it or not, this ball can help women give birth to healthy, bouncing babies. You'll see how it works.
It's all right now on the Newsbeat at 5, where local news comes first.
This Friday, the 13th, was very unlucky for a worker at Washtenaw County Cement Company. He fell and got trapped in a hopper filled with crushed limestone. Now, the careful rescue work took hours, but it ended with good news. That worker is recovering tonight. Good evening. The big story is about a dangerous rescue of a worker at a cement company plant. A rescue you saw live in First on 4 this morning. The worker was freed several hours after he got trapped in a cold limestone hopper. Now, this story unfolded at Killen's Concrete at Wagner and Liberty in Scillian Township near Ann Arbor. The Newsbeat's Suzanne Wangler is live in Chopper 4 above the scene with more on the story. Suzanne?
Well, Carmen, it was a dramatic rescue, whether you watched it unfold from the air or on the ground, and this is ground zero for that 3-hour rescue drama. The limestone hopper bin on the Killen's construction site. When the gravel gave way, it almost buried the worker alive.
They are just amazing pictures from Chopper 4. Minutes after 45-year-old Mike Brand tries to break up the ice on top of the gravel in one of the hoppers, the ice gives way and he falls in. The gravel swallows him. He's practically buried alive.
It caved in and went over his head.
Luckily, some of his co-workers were watching and rushed in to try and help save his life.
He was buried up above his head in a stone in a limestone bin, and we got up there, we couldn't see him at all, but we could hear him. He had his hard hat on, and it created a void for him so he could breathe and talk.
They kept talking to Mike and trying to dig him out. Minutes seemed like hours. And these co-workers turned rescue workers tried to free their friend until the ambulances and the technical rescue team arrived.
Every time we dig where he was at, the sides would start falling back in. But it was a team effort. There was six of us up top, taking turns digging him out with buckets, and then the guys on the ground were bringing up the wood and stuff, and we shored him up until the EMS units got there.
After nearly 3 hours of digging and gingerly pulling Brand up through the topper, the man buried alive is set free. And as he's put into the ambulance, you can see the relief on the co-workers' faces that he made it, that he's okay.
I just want to thank everyone sincerely from the bottom of my heart for what they did for Mike, and it's just great.
Back here live in Chopper 4, the latest word from the University of Michigan Hospital. Mike Brand is back home tonight with his wife and children. They say he's okay, just a little dusty, surely thankful that he's alive. Reporting live from Chopper 4, Suzanne Wangler, Newsbeat.
All right, Suzanne, so there were plenty of heroes at that cement plant this morning and this afternoon. Our Mike Wendland was among the first reporters on the scene. He was there and saw all of the work firsthand and up close.
When rescue workers arrived around 11 o'clock, Mike Brand was still buried from the neck down. The gravel was crushing and cold. Frantically, they kept using buckets to dig an opening, and then came another hero. This woman, Amy Brow, a member of the Ann Arbor Technical Rescue Team. She jumped right in the hole with Brand.
I just kept trying to talk to him, hey, Mike, we're going to get you out. Don't worry about it. Tried to keep him warm.
Weren't you worried about your own safety in there?
No, I really don't think about it at the time. I know that my brothers and sisters on the fire department, they're watching out for me so I can do my job down there.
Hardest part was trying to get the stone dug away from the patient so we could get a harness on him so we could suspend him and then dump the rest of the stone out of the bottom of the bin.
It was a slow and painstaking process. They wrapped Mike Brand in heat packs and blankets to ward off the cold until, a little after 1, he was finally freed.
A couple guys said he was even cracking some jokes.
Yeah, once we got down and talked to him, we got his chest free and down to his waist and stuff. He was pretty good spirits.
So it was a day of drama and heroes here at the Killen Gravel Company. And for Mike Brand, nursing a few bruises at home, it will be a weekend on the telephone thanking his pals. In Ann Arbor, Mike Wendland, Newsbeat.
Well, we'll keep watching the injured worker's recovery. We'll have an update on his condition coming up here on the Newsbeat at 6. Carmen?
Police are learning more tonight about the events leading up to the murder of a fast food restaurant manager in Birmingham. And while they have not yet made any arrests, they are following up new leads. The Newsbeat's Mike Lewis is in Birmingham with the newest details. Mike?
Well, Carmen, Kentucky Fried Chicken has now offered a $20,000 reward for the killer of Shirley Alco. Police telling me moments ago they are now focusing on the theory that she knew her killer, possibly someone she worked with, and they're downplaying any links to the other fast food stick-ups recently. Investigators were hoping they'd caught a break when Oakland County Sheriff's detectives arrested this man yesterday for a string of fast food stick-ups in Oakland County. But now they say it's unrelated to the KFC killing in Birmingham.
We have not established any such link with...
And Birmingham police say they're tracking down a number of leads today in their hunt for the killer of 37-year-old Shirley Alco.
An investigation like this is very intensive. A lot of people are going to have to be talked to and interviewed, and that's what we're doing right now.
Alco let the other employees out about 10:30 that night. A short time later, someone shot her in the back of the head and stole several $1,000s. But the doors were still locked when coworkers arrived and found her body yesterday morning. And there was no sign of a break-in, leading investigators to theorize the killer may be someone she knew. Those are the people they're now questioning.
Employees, family members, friends, following up on tips that we've received.
Now, Alco's family says she should have had better protection here. We'll look at some possible security measures for fast food workers and hear from her family coming up on the Newsbeat at 6. Live in Birmingham, Mike Lewis, Newsbeat.
All right, Mike. Lawyers for Paula Jones filed a 100-page brief today arguing that her sexual harassment suit against the president should go forward. In the brief, lawyers accuse President Clinton of, and I quote, a vast enterprise to suppress evidence, end of quote. The motion outlines what they say is the president's pattern of making sexual advances toward women, then trying to persuade them to deny it. The documents also include new information from Jennifer Flowers, Kathleen Welly, and a woman identified as Jane Doe number 2. The case is scheduled to go to trial in May.
2 days have passed now, and Walter Budson is still waiting for a verdict. No verdict, but there has been some contact from the jury today. Our Roger Weber is live at the courthouse, and he's got more on what we heard from the jury today. Roger?
Well, Devin, this jury has asked for sort of an instant replay of Walter Budson's testimony. They couldn't see it again, but they heard it again. And now the lawyers can only wonder whether these jurors are keying in on the strengths or weaknesses of Walter Budson's story. Last week, Walter Budson spent 3 hours on the witness stand and a few minutes in his lawyer's lap explaining the confrontation with Malice Green.
As I went into the vehicle, the flashlight hit the panel of the car and it fell onto the floor.
In its second day of deliberations, the jury wanted to hear Budson again, so the court played an audio tape of the testimony. Jurors took notes as Budson matter-of-factly talked about struggling with Green while his back was to Larry Nevers.
What were you trying to do?
Trying to get control of him, but I couldn't.
Did you know where Larry was?
No, I didn't.
An hour and 25 minutes into the readback, the jurors raised their hands, signaling Judge Jackson that they'd heard enough. The tape stopped before they'd heard any of the prosecutor's cross-examination. Does the readback tell us anything about how this jury might be having problems?
It can in some instances, but it's hard to key in on because unless you're actually reading each one of the jurors, you'll never know what it is that they're thinking.
Well, the person who's been talking to the judge on behalf of the jury is a white man, one of the older jurors, and the court is assuming that he is the foreman. Now, Judge Jackson sent the jurors home about 4:15 this afternoon. They'll be back here Monday to try again to reach a verdict. Live in Detroit, I'm Roger Weber, Newsbeat.
The man who killed Martin Luther King Jr. is close to death himself now in a Tennessee hospital at this hour. James Earl Ray was taken from a prison to a Nashville hospital Sunday with complications from liver disease, and his brother now says that Ray slipped into a coma Wednesday night. He is listed in critical condition. Ray confessed to killing King in 1968, but then later recanted and has fought for years now to get a new trial.
Cancer is a killer. It claims nearly 600,000 lives every year. But a report out tonight shows an incredible trend. Those numbers are dropping, and it's the first time in decades.
And I woke up and just saw this lump sticking out, and it wasn't there the day before, and I just woke up and it was there. So I would thank God that it showed itself.
Michelle Sims is a breast cancer survivor. She's also part of a growing trend.
a trend that shows cancer death rates dropping in the U.S. for the first time in 20 years. And that's not all. The rates of those being diagnosed with cancer is down too. More than 70,000 fewer people were diagnosed with the disease between 1992 and 1995.
It's good news because there's been some challenge as to the money spent in cancer research, whether it's been beneficial or not. And certainly with the decrease in the mortality and incidence, we have shown that the money that's been spent on cancer research has been beneficial.
Why the drop? Researchers say better screening and early detection have played a major role. Doctors and patients are also more focused on prevention. And over time, cancer treatments have improved dramatically.
Tobacco use is going down, and that certainly has been correlated with lung cancer. And since the use of tobacco is going down, we're beginning to see a decrease in lung cancer.
But despite the good news, not all cancer rates are dropping. Skin cancer and bladder cancer are on the rise. And so is cancer in African American men.
Prostate cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer are still on the rise for African American men, and we're not certain as to why this is the case.
Now, doctors say today's report card is a good one, but there's still room for improvement. Tobacco use is a big one. Right now, the number of teens picking up the habit is growing, and we won't see those effects until sometime later down the road.
We bring Chuck in now. Another cool day and a couple of snowflakes.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning. Yeah. Those kind of went away, and the wind has obviously been a big story again this afternoon. Gusts to about 30 miles per hour, so it's a good thing I get that hairspray in 55-gallon drums. Take a look now at numbers.
That was Velcro all these years.
No, well, okay, that too. And here's the satellite view now, and you can see all the cloud cover in the state, but that doesn't reveal the entire story. I'll peel away that layer. Uh-oh. Something's coming. We've had some light flurries, but now Lansing to Grand Rapids to Benton Harbor, it's starting to snow, and out of Grand Rapids pretty hard. More on that to come. Here's Skycam from Southfield, and ooh, the clouds are looking more ominous now. Ooh, coming back 30-degree temps tonight, snow and wind. We'll talk more about that and what's coming for our weekend and beyond. And let me just tell you, there is a warming trend in the forecast. So
we have June.
Yeah, right.
Just depends
August
how long your forecast, right? I understand.
We'll brave the temperatures in a minute. You know those sweepstake entry forms that you get in the mail? The ones with the celebrities telling you you've won?
Well, the people who entered those contests and didn't win the grand prize may still collect some money. We're going to let you know how that works coming up in just a minute.
I'm Newsbeat business editor Rod Meloni live at the City County building. We're a step closer to casino gaming in Detroit, but there's a whole lot of political gamesmanship going along with it. We'll tell you all about it coming up on the Newsbeat.
Using this ball may be the best way to deliver your baby. I'm Good Health reporter Lila Lazarus. That story coming up.
This big gamble took on a new life today. Mayor Archer showed up at City Council this morning with signed contracts with the 3 Detroit casino operators. Just what did the mayor bring? Our business editor Rod Meloni is here to tell us about the mayor's game of hardball today, Rod.
I'll tell you what, Devin, it is amazing. He brought about $1.8 billion in economic development to the table, but boy, were there some strings attached. The mayor basically came in and said to the council, okay, here is the agreement. We would like to have it finished up by April 10th so we can send it off to the state. That way they can sign off on it, and if all goes as the mayor would like it to go, then they can have temporary casinos in the city of Detroit by the end of this year. But then again, what happens if the council doesn't go along, doesn't play ball with the mayor? Well, the mayor says some pretty ugly things could happen.
The development agreements will have to be redone because everything is predicated on the sites where we're located. And we will not make the April 10th deadline.
Well, what the mayor's saying there is that he is largely trying to force the council to go with his plan. If they don't go with this plan, then we have to start this all over. And there are dire consequences attached to that. Because basically what happens is there are forces out in outstate Michigan, actually, that would like to have Proposal E killed. Proposal E, of course, gave casinos, boy, it's cold out here, gave casinos to the city of Detroit. Now, what did he actually bring to the table? We're going to tell you all about it coming up at 6 o'clock if I thaw out here, Devin.
All right, Rod, we'll see you then.
All right, Rod.